Hi.
Hello.
Nice of you to be on the show. Yes. I'm so excited to have you and get the chance to interview you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Shari Price. I am 51 years old. I have two daughters, 22 and 17. I live in Maryland. I'm a scientist by day, Army all the rest of the time of the day. Love to cook, love to read. Yeah, love to work out.
Awesome. I love to work out too, so I'm all about that.
Yay!
So how did you find BTS?
I was introduced to BTS actually through my daughter. She became a fan in 2018, actually, was when she fully went down the rabbit hole. Started playing music from her room and while she was in the shower. And I listened to it and it was catchy and all that. And she talked about them all the time. And I was like, okay, this is your thing. You know, boy band, that's fine. You know, I'm an old lady, but I like the music. And then in early 2019, she wanted me to listen to Singularity because she wanted it in our yoga playlist. And she goes, I want you to listen to this song critically. And she played it and I listened very carefully and I was like, maybe I should be paying attention to this. So at night when I was not sleeping, I started reading and figuring out what was going on with this BTS phenomenon, as it were.
Yeah.
And kind of just fell in head first. Yeah.
Easy to do. So how has BTS then changed your life since you've started listening to them?
This answer is going to be long.
That's fine.
So I wrote my little essay, and so I'll pull from my little essay. But I'm going to say one of the reasons why I think BTS music resonates across generations is because the message of self-acceptance, self-love, tolerance, all of those things, and the messages actually that go along with the bulletproof part of the early pieces of their work about societal pressures and whatnot, also ring true with older people who have lived long enough to have to redefine themselves or rediscover who they are as a result of the kinds of things that happen to you in life. Marriages fail, people die, your kids grow up and leave home. You have life-changing events that cause you to have to step back and reevaluate who you are and redefine yourself as a person. And when you have messages like that that ring with young people, they also work for old people as well. So there's that piece of it. And so I went through a rather lengthy period of self-discovery, starting in 2012 after the death of my sister and the failure of my marriage. And so I had to do a lot of self-rediscovery, having been on my own after 22 years, and self-acceptance and that kind of thing. And so starting from 2012, that's the journey that I was on. You know, who am I? What am I doing? You know, this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden in late 2018 into 2019, you know, here's this group of people that that have this message loud and clear and all in a happy way. And they also happen to look good and sing well and dance well and all those things. And for me, it became a little bit of an exclamation point to the journey that I had already been on. These are the things that I was thinking about already. And then here it was being, you know, broadcast around the world. So we went on the trip. The show was mind-blowing. The day was magical. The whole weekend that we were there was magical. Everything was just perfect. And a funny story, I want to share a funny story as an aside. We came home and I realized after that, you know, okay, well, I totally can do this. It's not that hard. You know, traveling around and not following somebody around is not rocket science. So this is something that you can do. And from that point, you know, life just kind of opened up. It was kind of like I turned 50 and it was like, oh, you can live now. So, I mean, since then, been back to New York a few times just for fun. Took my kid out to LA to see BTS at the Jingle Ball. We went to Europe. We did Greece, Italy, and Spain. We were actually supposed to go to Japan and Korea this summer, but that's through, so we didn't get to do that. So that concert, the statement that I made in my little paragraph about the concert being a life-altering experience, that's what that means. So on the trip home from that, and this is a funny story, On the trip home, we were sitting at the train station. This will probably get edited out. We were at the train station, and my daughter says, I get really tired of people saying BTS looks like girls. And I said, they don't look like girls. And I was like, why don't you pull up some photos, the shirtless ones, the shirt on and this and the abs and all of that.
Oh yeah.
We were sitting on the platform at the train station, scrolling through images, and in the corner of my eye, I see some people. And then I look up to see the train pulling away.
Oh no. You got so enthralled by these hot guys that you were just like,
we missed the train home. It went right by us. It was 6 feet in front of our faces, and we were like this.
Yeah, they can do that. You get sucked into this like rabbit hole of just like, you cannot, like, an hours go by and all of a sudden you're like, oh no, what happened? Like, you just get sucked into it. Yeah.
That I wasn't actually a big social media user before this. I used Facebook a little bit to communicate with high school friends and whatnot, but through Facebook, I belong to the BTS Army Mamas, which is a nice Facebook group. Are you in that one? Yeah, good one. and the crew there.
Yep.
And Twitter, I'm in a couple of group chats on Twitter with some people, and now Instagram has allowed me to sort of connect to other people across the world.
Like globally, then BTS has technically, you're saying that they've impacted globally.
Yes.
What do you like? Do you feel like Dynamite was the thing that made it to where that impact was bigger?
I think that's gonna be a two-part answer. I think BTS already had a global impact, and so I think if you have you ever seen that the interactive Google map that shows the charity projects that you can click on, and they go back for years, and unfortunately you cannot add up the amount of money that people have voluntarily put into charities motivated by BTS just being nice people. But I think as far as global impact, if you take the entertainment value out of it and the part of just motivating people to be better versions of themselves, I think that map by itself speaks volumes. Beyond that, do I think Dynamite is gonna make that impact bigger? Yes, because to some degree, I do think that it will help open more doors, maybe not the biggest door in the Western market, but certainly more doors in the Western market. And perhaps, maybe when you have that bridge of, let's get these people to look at these good guys speaking your language, and then maybe they'll go on over there and listen to some that are in the other language and go, yeah, okay. It doesn't matter whether we can understand these or not. So, yeah.
I mean, what did you think of them coming out with an all English single during this COVID time?
It's an interesting question. So, it's not the first all English song any of them have ever sung.
True.
So, RM has had some solo. Yeah. He's had some. JK did a bunch of English covers. So I think that.
I guess I'm saying because that they had a really big part in this album, and therefore they had a really big part in writing this song, and them opting to do it English versus in Korean, knowing that it came out as an English, it was the beginning of a new era. So
yeah, I think I feel a little bit mixed about it actually. I like it obviously because it's easy to understand. It's an easy song. Yeah. It's not complicated. The lyrics are not deep. They're in my language, so I understand them. And it's upbeat and it's fun. In other ways, I feel a little bit bad though that they may have felt compelled to do something like that. In a language that, for RM, maybe it's not uncomfortable, but for some of the other ones, I think it probably is uncomfortable. I can't speak for them, I don't know, but it can be easy.
What was your thought when this song came out and all of a sudden it was on the billboards for 2 weeks? Even just today we found out they literally just broke a record by it being number one on every, all Billboard aspects of it. What's your take on that, being Army?
Oh, I'm proud of them like they're my kids. That's one of the things that's so weird about being an old fan. So, at the beginning of this, when I was talking about my daughter, and I'm like, this is your thing, these are your boys, whatever. I'm like, well, it'd be really creepy because I can't fangirl over these kids that are young enough to be my kids. It's so weird, but they're grown-ups, so I can fangirl if I want to. But it's a little bit different because you can look at them and go, he's so cute. But at the same time, it's you're so cute. I'm so proud of you. Like, you're my kid. You need to eat some more, okay?
Well, especially since they have like their personalities. So
Yeah.
I know that you have like, so my bias is Junie. I have a huge thing for him, but your bias is V.
Yes.
How did that come about?
Oh boy. Okay. So when I first started to go down the rabbit hole, so my kids and I actually used to play a game. So my daughter had all these pictures, and the game was, can mom guess who is who? That was the game. and at first I couldn't. Actually, RM was the first one that I could recognize. And, because of the whole UN speech and everything, I actually thought that was probably going to be my bias. And I actually was like, I'm not going to be a biased person. I'm going to have everybody's going to be.
And I thought that too.
Everybody's going to be a rebel like this, and then, as we were looking at pictures and whatever videos and all of that, I actually thought V was kind of unusual looking in the beginning. And then
That's the thing for aliens. So I mean, yeah.
In the beginning, anyway, I was like, this guy is really unusual looking. And then one day I was looking at pictures and I'm like, wait a minute, unusual looking is beautiful beyond imagine. And then I got to where I couldn't not look at pictures. I would just stare at this creepy old lady way. But I think, I love his voice. So historically, my all-time lifelong favorite singer is Rod Stewart. So I'm a sucker for people with an unusual voice. Rod Stewart's voice isn't deep, but I tend to migrate towards deep voices and that breathy sound.
Soulful. It's a soulful sound.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so I really got caught up by his sound. But then, just his personality he seems to be a little bit of an out of the box thinker, maybe a little bit of a mystery. You don't really exactly know what's going on in there.
Yeah.
I feel like, I think, everybody talks about how smart RM is, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's probably on some other plane, but I think all 7 of them are wickedly smart.
Absolutely.
I think all of them are. I was shocked at when we got there. We were, as I said, we were really close to stage. When you look at they all are handsome men. All of them are. But Suga,
I hear that.
in particular, when you see him up close in real life, looks so much different than he looks in a film. And Suga is beautiful in real life.
I always have seen videos or even staff members be like, and you don't even realize how beautiful and delicate they are until you are physically close to them, because it doesn't need they don't need makeup, they don't need that. I always hear that and see that, so I'm anticipating that. I mean, I don't have super good, I have 100 level, 200 level, because I can't do high up in stadiums, but I've never been in a stadium, but I know I probably couldn't. So I'm close enough, but I'm already oh my gosh, anticipation of how gorgeous they're supposed to be, because
they are. Yeah.
I mean, how does PD find 7 handsome men and just know they're going to be everything?
He's got a good long game, let me tell you. But
he knows what he's doing.
Yes, he does. So anyway, Suga in particular was shockingly beautiful, as was J-Hope. But V is not my daughter's bias wrecker at all. But he's my super bias. I joke around. He owns my soul. He just has the whole thing. And
I hear you.
But he is so beautiful. V is that you can't look at him. So when he would come to our side of the stage, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be peeled up like this so I can absorb every molecule, every whatever photon that bounces off him is gonna come to me. And he came, and I'm like, well, I can't look. And my daughter, who's a lot cooler about him than I am, also couldn't look. She's like,
so they're very almost angelic
Yes, was looking at the sun. I can't even. I definitely have made some new friends and hopefully lifelong friends. So.
Oh, we're Army. It's forever. We're never going away.
That's right.
So I know that, BTS being Korean, is that what inspired, so you're learning Korean. So is that what inspired you to want to learn Korean?
No.
That's why I'm asking.
No, actually my daughter was learning Korean because of BTS.
Okay. So it was her that got, so she got you to then want to learn it. Is that it?
Yeah, well, so she was learning Korean because of BTS so that she could understand songs and things like that. And I was kind of I'll just do the translations and read the subs. It's fine. And so, but then she's like, I don't have anybody to practice with. I can't practice with anybody.
Yeah.
We live in a very rural county in Maryland. So, you know, not, we could go one county over and be plenty of Koreans, but just this county, no. so, but I was like, you know, do you want me to try and work on this with you? Because I had been itching to try and learn something anyway, not necessarily a language, but just learn something. I was kind of feeling a little stale. So
get your brain going.
Yeah, I had actually been looking at the possibility of going back and getting an MBA, which is dumb, but anyway, that's what I was thinking about doing. And anyway, I was like, you know what, I'll just do this with you. You can practice something. It'll let me learn something, whatever. And so we did it together for a little while, but then she actually quit because she was trying to get her certification for biliteracy in Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she needed to focus on one language.
Hard to learn two languages. I know. My daughter's wanting to learn French and Spanish, and I'm like, Spanish is school. You can learn French when you're older.
Yeah. You want to know something that's real funky? With Jinhee, so I speak a little Spanish, not very much. And when I mess up and get ready to insert something else, I usually insert Spanish. It's dumb.
What do you do to utilize teaching yourself, or do you utilize some other things?
Yeah. So I've kind of been a little bit all over the map. I've been working on this since February. No, not February. May of 2019. So I'm about a year and a half in to studying. I kind of dabbled in it, and then in May I kind of just jumped in and like really. So I use Duolingo. I'm actually about to finish Duolingo's program.
Wow, nice.
A few more units to go on that. Duolingo. Do you use Duolingo at all?
I do. I love saying things like "I'm not a cat."
Yeah. So there's some things about Duolingo that I don't like, and that is that there's basically no instruction. But there's some things about Duolingo that I do like are how repetitive it is. So, like when you get to the, have you done the numbers yet? Have you gotten the numbers yet?
I have not. I'm like slowly building up on verbs and conjugation and things like that. So,
yeah. If you stay with Duolingo, their units on numbers are really good. You will be able
to aspire to.
Yeah, you will be able to count in both systems. It doesn't necessarily teach you specifically which system to use for which thing, but you will be able to count in both systems.
So once your daughter stopped, obviously, then you didn't really have anyone to work with.
No.
So outside of Duolingo, what do you do?
So outside of Duolingo, I also have a bunch of Talk to Me in Korean content. Their workbooks, reading books, they are excellent. I use those. I try to watch K-dramas. Jinhee wants me to watch more K-dramas.
Same here. I know. I want to watch Itaewon Class. That's my next. Yeah. That's my homework, actually. My homework is to watch. I'm like, by all means, I'll watch the K-drama.
Yeah. I have not watched Itaewon Class. It takes me forever to watch K-dramas because I don't watch a lot of TV to begin with.
Nope, me neither.
So it takes me forever to get through one. But yeah, more K-dramas. I listen to BTS music every day. And I also will play old V Lives. So I pull up a V Live on my phone, turn it over so I don't look, and just let it run.
And and then just listen. And then obviously use Jinhee for that vocabulary. So that was my biggest thing is, I can have all these things that I can read, I can write, but it was the speaking for me because I know that I can sit there and talk it all day long, but am I really saying it right? So having somebody to work with, like me and you working together with her, obviously is very helpful because that means that we know whether or not we're saying the right thing, especially like what I just said, like copy. Like they're so close, but it's like a world of difference between a bloody nose and a cup of coffee.
Exactly.
Like, what are you going to ask for?
Right.
So,
Yeah. So with Jinhee, it's the same thing with her having that live face-to-face and actually somebody really talking like real Korean and not textbook Korean spoken very slow.
Seeing the lips, like huge. Getting that feedback. Yeah.
Huge. So that's been very helpful. So I was really happy when she agreed to come on and do these lessons with us online. So. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. So I have one last question for you. Besides BTS and besides learning Korean as a language, are there any other things in Korean culture or anything in Korea that interests you?
Oh yeah. Yes. So I like to cook. I've been cooking since I was a little kid. And I guess maybe one thing that I should point out, my interest in Asia and Asian things doesn't start with BTS. I from my time in Miami, going to graduate school, I'm a scientist by trade, so you tend to interact with a lot of Asian people in grad school, and Asian people from all over Asia, Japan, Korea, China, India, all of those kinds of places. And so I was at that time, this was back in the very early 90s, quite the minority, actually. Everybody else was either some type of Latin because it was in Miami, or they were some type of Asian, and then there was me. So anyway, it's true.
No, I believe you 100%. Yeah, no, yeah. For sure.
So that's kind of when it started. One of the things that was nice about living in Miami is that it's a big enough city that you don't just go out for Chinese food. You can go out for Szechuan, you can go out for Vietnamese, Thai, Korean, and so on and so forth. So actually my first exposure to Korean food was from my friend in grad school. His name was Sung Jae Yo, or Yo Sung Jae, Korean guy. He would drive home, and his mom would load his car up with Korean food, way more than he could eat, and he would bring it back and share it with all of us. Yes, and we also lived behind a Korean restaurant called Kyungju, and we used to eat there a lot. So my fascination with Korean food actually dates back to around 1992, 1993. So Korean food, I love cooking it, love eating it.
I hear you. I cook it all the time. It's like my numero uno thing that jjajangmyeon. Jinhee's going to teach me how to make kimchi because I want to, like, there's so many recipes out there. I just want to learn the right way, so I have the right way.
Yeah.
But no, cooking for sure. That's I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me for this interview. I love the fact that you are Army and that you are, like, doesn't matter how old, how young, whether you're on one side of the country or the other, or whatever language you speak, we're all inclusive. And I appreciate you taking the time to sit with me and talk. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Anytime. It was nice talking to you about all these things.
Yes. So I'm going to say bye.